Hey, good evening. A
Hello.
new, so I'm gonna make sure. I think it's a better camera, so this will be all right. Okay, cool. It's 7. I think we're gonna be the only two commissioners here tonight. So if you're ready, we can
Good.
be. I think it'll be simple. So yeah, welcome. This is the October 2025. Every time I'm just like, really? October 2025 meeting of the ANC 1C's Alcoholic Beverage Control and Public Safety Committee. Our agenda is, I think, pretty light. I don't expect us to take any vote on any issues, but we did get uh, one officer from the third district is here tonight, uh, so we can get them promoted. Just we discussed last month getting some more. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to define it, but community engagement with the
Mm,
public safety officials in the city. So there's one opportunity to do so. As they're coming up, there's another one. I think I haven't mentioned to you. On next Monday, the third district is trying to host a bunch of commissioners that are on committees like this one. I
mm.
can't go because I have another commitment. But if you wanted to go, they're having an in-person commissioner, like select commissioners from Ward 1 or third, no, not Ward 1, from third district commission.
Okay.
So I'll send you more information. I
Yeah, let me know,
have it
please.
in an email somewhere, but that's another option. They're trying to, at least the officers that I've heard from, are trying to do some outreach to bridge or undo or rectify some of the strains and relations that have happened this year in a lot of directions. So that's one way they wanted to do some kind of fact finding from commissioners.
Good, good.
All right. Anyway, welcome, Nathaniel. Thanks for taking time to speak with us tonight.
Sure. Good evening.
So, yeah, I mean, we could usually the way we've done this in the past is kind of just if you have the opportunity to kind of say, usually it's like a month old, but as recent as possible. Adams Morgan recorded criminal behavior and things related to that. And if we have any questions, we can kind of fill in. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. So I guess start off with good evening, Captain Porter from MPD. I was transferred over here from the Special Operations Division probably about a month and a half ago. And part of my area is 1C/PSA 303, and it's actually unique because for some reason, ANC 1C lines up perfectly with PSA 303, and
Hmm,
that's usually not the case. Usually it's so confusing between districts and PSA and 1C, but this did actually, I was looking at the map earlier and it actually kind of works out. So for 1C/PSA 303, we did have the analyst pull like crime data just year to date between 2024 versus 2025.
mhm.
And it looks like overall grand total is down 23%. Violent crime is down 45%. Property is 21%. Um, we've gotten 8 weapon recoveries this year from that area. And looking at the most prevalent arrests, simple assault is the top one, followed by theft, followed by no permit, which just means no driver's license, followed by unlawful entry, which is people somewhere where they shouldn't be, or someone's asked to leave and they refuse, or they've been guarded before and they stay in there. And then the fifth most prevalent arrest is people with warrants. Specifically bench warrants usually just comes from them not showing up to court and then the officer recognizing them as having a warrant. It's probably no surprise to anyone that the heaviest blocks for not only community concerns, calls for service, arrest is 1800 block of Columbia Road. That's not a big surprise. Um, Followed by Lanier Place a bit, and then 18th Street, 2400 block, which is not anything new. I know, and the thing I've been trying to get the officers to do in combat, and we're putting some extra people in the area, are those dang scooters in the alley between 18th and Columbia Road. We get calls every day for it. We're trying to get better at it. Some officers are pretty good at recognizing them when they stop to like pick up food from one of the restaurants on 18th Street. We had a case like 2 weeks ago where they went into the alley to try to stop them. They all fled. Obviously, we're not going to chase them for just fleeing from us. But like an hour later, the officer saw the mope or the scooter unoccupied, and the person went in to pick up some food. And as soon as he got out, they grabbed him. for fleeing, and I think it was no driver's license or it was unregistered or whatever it was. So um, while it's frustrating for us too, because as soon as we get in the alley, they all just flee from us in different directions, but we can catch up to them every once in a while. Um, but I think the overall enforcement of scooters across the city has helped in general, but it's kind of moved them from hanging out on 18th Street to hanging out in that alley. So as with all crime, it's hard to eliminate it. A lot of times it just gets displaced here and there, but we're working on that issue. I know that's a pain point. I know the other issue is the drug activity along Columbia Road, by the Triangle Park. We've our district units and also our citywide narcotics unit, the Violent Crime Suppression Division. They've been doing different busts in that area. And they shut down an illegal weed operation, I think, in the 1700 block of Columbia, like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've been definitely doing some work in that area. It's just, it's hard to combat everything, but we're working on it.
You're referring to Unity Park when you say the Triangle Park?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what I
I
thought. Thank you.
believe, yeah,
Or the line.
it's the one.
In front of the Line Hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. And then we've also impressed upon people the importance of barring notices, because that's really the first step in eliminating the people from hanging out on private property. So for example, we've gone over with the McDonald's at 18th at Columbia on the process. There was even people were doing on the east alley of 18th Street. There were some people hanging out in different stairwells and staircases on people's private property. We arrested one group for unlawful entry there, but all those owners, they should be aware now that if there's people continually on their private property, not just in the alley, they can issue barring notices, and as soon as they show up again, we can arrest them. And then once we arrest them, we can ask for stay away orders from that area. So it's kind of a process to get them to not be allowed in the area, but it almost pretty much always starts with a barring notice. If they're not doing anything blatantly illegal, assaulting people, stuff like that. But for those kind of like nuisance ones, barring notice is really the first step in, starting to enforce that. I think those are the main pain points in that area, unless you guys had some other ones. I just wanted to address those, because I know those are definitely came up.
Hmm.
Yeah, those, I mean, at least speaking for myself, I've heard people mention those and seen it from firsthand experience. So I think that was fairly inclusive. I have one question. Going back to I think you said scooters. I assume you mean like the mopeds and not
Yeah,
the.
the moped. So, go ahead. What's your
Oh,
question?
yeah, my question, I mean, kind of speaking frankly here, like I have had a lot of constituents pretty often over the last year and a half come to me saying, pretty diplomatically saying like it's an important part of like the local economy. These are people trying to work. It's not people that seem to, as far as I know, be engaging in many other like criminal type activities, but they're blatantly violating a lot of traffic laws on a regular basis. And I mean, I just wonder, 'cause I speak Spanish, but I haven't really gotten to speak to any of these guys that are usually Spanish speakers. I just wonder if there are any either officers or people that have some sort of partnership with MPD that have gotten to have Spanish language conversations with some of these guys. Because I just find it, like I say, frankly speaking, it makes little sense to me because I think a lot of their fear of engagement is based on like fear of deportation or migration related stuff. But also, running every red light is a very terrible way to go under the radar. So I just don't entirely understand where they're coming from. And I'm curious if anyone you've known has been able to have some sort of kind of honest conversation on, familiar terms, which is probably often in Spanish, to try to figure out why some of these guys are taking these risks, which I just don't understand. Like they have a lot of incentive to follow traffic laws, and they
Mhm.
seem to be doing like the very opposite in most situations, and I just don't get it.
I don't believe, and we do have many officers in the third district that are certified Spanish speakers. So we do have officers that speak Spanish. The issue is, like you said, as soon as we approach them,
I thought, yeah.
whether it's, just literally walking up to them or peeking, they see the car come into the alley, they always flee immediately. So it is hard to have those conversations when every time they see us, they immediately run. Whether we're, going at them fast or literally just like they see a cruiser enter the alley and then they scatter. So, but I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know if anyone has had those conversations with them. My guess is the faster they get it delivered, the more deliveries they can make, the more money they can make. But to your point, yeah, doing all that
Pass people over.
traffic, concerning behavior on the mopeds traffic wise is obviously not a good way to fly under the radar. But we have seen in the past 2 years since we started the general scooter enforcement stuff way before the federal stuff. A lot of them are coming in way more in compliance with having license plates on them. Making sure, and some of them that don't have driver's license, I've seen they've moved over to like electric bicycles, which still obviously can be just as dangerous as the mopeds. And then as soon as they put tags on them, then they cover the tags with reflectors. So, I mean, it's kind of a game back and forth, but yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested if, a community member would probably have a better opportunity and chance of asking them, rather than us.
Yeah, no, so I agree, and I've tried to think of ways for me to do that. But even still, like I've had chances when on other terms or other reasons, engage with people saying, "Hey, I'm commissioner," in Spanish, and like just the fact like you have to educate them that commissioner isn't necessarily I'm a person that's in the state that has the like authority to do bad things.
Yeah, I'm here to shake it down.
Establishing that trust is tricky, so I'd like to be able to do it, but it hasn't happened because like I was saying, I mean, this is just my like personal opinion, but I think that a lot of the guys that I've seen that are just, running red lights, etc., doing crazy. I mean, one, that's common behavior for all drivers in DC, sadly. But two, I think that they might be teachable, and I think that there could be opportunity for some sort of educational. Like these are I've spent a lot of time in Latin America, and like people drive uniquely, which is to say recklessly. But I mean, I don't think that it's just, oh, I want to like be destructive on purpose. I think there might be some opportunity for some of these guys to be like, oh yeah, this is probably at least do these things, like tone it down a bit. But I don't know the best way to go about that. So
Yeah,
I'll keep.
we have done educational outreach for the scooters through our traffic division during the traffic enforcement stuff. And I know they developed I don't know if they were flyers or they were definitely in multiple languages, including Spanish, on letting them know. They were mostly geared towards like, hey, just like you said, they might not need a helmet, they might not need a driver's license in other countries, they may be able to drive that way. But the outreach was like, hey, when you're here, you need a license, you need valid driver's license, you should wear a helmet and all this stuff. So they did do outreach, trying to reach that population, advising them like, hey, if you're not aware of the rules, this is kind of what you got to do, when you're here.
And on that point, I'm curious what your perspective is because I've heard, I don't know if I haven't had like confirmed, but I've heard from like constituents that order DoorDash and things. They say, yeah, a lot of times, from what I can tell, not always, but sometimes the driver pretty clearly is using someone else's ID on the app. So when the driver comes, it's actually a completely different person. So like enforcement could often be difficult because there's a kind of a gap in establishing whose identity is which, because for whatever reason that be. Probably because they don't have a driver's license, could be other things, that there seems to be an issue with trying to even figure out who the drivers might be just because of not registering their names for these. I mean, because I say that because it might be an avenue to try to see like the apps that are either contracting or hiring these people as drivers might be a better place to try to, educate or enforce than the police just because they can engage with them more because that's where they're getting income from. But if it's true, if the apps don't even know who they are, or the app managers don't know who they are, that might not be the case. Is that something that you've seen as well?
Um, Not personally, but it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if the apps look the other way and don't double check and verify people's identities and driver's license statuses. I vaguely
That's,
remember that being an issue with, I don't even remember which company it was, but that doesn't sound unfamiliar, I guess is what I'm saying. So
yeah, that
it's
makes
definitely possible that, they are, because all they care about is getting the food delivered as quick as possible. I don't know what Ubers or I don't know what their verification process is. And like you said, it's very possible that they're they're using other people's IDs, but I don't think anyone's brought that to our attention. But I would obviously encourage the people who are getting the food delivered to reach out to the company and be like, hey, this wasn't that guy that gave me my food. I don't know who this was.
Yeah, and
Just
especially
liability for those guys, for the delivery companies too.
and it's tricky. In Adams Morgan, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, maybe there was one case of a driver who was getting just very discriminated against by the business, the restaurant owner, and it went viral, the video. And it's like
Mm.
the public opinion doesn't necessarily side with the very small window of nuance, which is what we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
it's like there's a lot of factors at play. But anyway, so I've talked a lot. Thanks for answering those questions. Commissioner Balki, you have anything?
Oh, thanks very much. Just a quick follow-up on the scooter issue we've been talking about. Is there a particular reason that all the scooters congregate right there on Columbia Road at that alley? Is that something, did that just sort of happen organically because it's convenient, or
So
is
they,
is somebody pushing them there who might be hoping with this?
as far as I understand it, they used to hang out in front of the McDonald's on Columbia Road. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, well, 18th and Columbia on 18th
Uh-huh.
Street. However, once MPD started its scooter enforcement like a year and a half ago, and this is all around the city, this is not just here. They basically, the groups that usually hang out on the corners, they relocate to a different
Mm,
spot. And I think this group just happened to relocate to that alley. I don't necessarily think someone's pushing them there or asking them to be there. I think that's just the spot they found that they feel safe while they're waiting
mhm.
for deliveries
Hmm,
to come
okay.
in.
Interesting.
Um,
Not a lot of other
but
distractions there.
yeah.
My other question is moving to another part of ANC 1C. The 7-Eleven at 1900 Wyoming is in my district. And before I resumed this position, there was a lot of um, neighborhood unhappiness with various sort of petty crimes, loitering, public urination, panhandling, all that stuff. And it seemed like things have calmed down considerably. Unfortunately, we had one homeless gentleman who apparently assaulted a British diplomat, and he was removed from the scene, and that seems to have settled things down a bit. I'm just wondering if you have a sense of just sort of what the general trend is right in that little area. Are things getting better?
So, in the 2 months I've been here, I don't even remember really many calls for service there. So I would
Hmm.
venture to say it is getting better. I'm looking over to my left. Well, you're right, but
Yeah.
I'm looking up in our CAD system year to date if we even have any calls for the 7-Eleven 1900 Wyoming.
Yeah.
So we do have a, let's see, the last call was over a week ago,
Mm.
and it's usually for so there have been 40 calls for service since January there,
Mhm.
which seems like a lot, but if you compare it to like 3100 14th Street, the DC USA
Yeah.
Mall, we get like multiple calls a day, so it's probably hundreds there. It looks like
Mm.
most of them are for disorderly, um, and actually the majority of it looks like it's only like 4 or 5 a month. Like in
Mm.
September, there were 1, 2, 3, 5 calls for the entire month of September. October, there's been two. There was only 4 calls in August,
Mm.
and
Good.
about 6 in July, and 3 in June. So it's really not that bad. Um, and it looks like they all come in. Majority of them come in late at night between like
Yeah.
7 p.m. Well, actually, they're kind of all over the place. Mostly for disorderlies, a theft. Um, so I mean, that's kind of the
Mm.
rundown of what we got. That's basically represents 40 911 calls to the 7-Eleven um, since January. And like I said, it's mostly thefts and disorderlies.
Mm. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks very much. And let me just mention there was a comment in the chat. There's a lot of drug activity around the bus shelter by Casa Labrato at Columbia and Ontario Road. Just wanted to flag that since somebody brought it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's sort of yeah, right by the not by Unity, well, right by Unity Park, more or less.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna block. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's all that we have. There's one attendee, so let's see if Kristen has any questions. But
Yeah.
it's
I think I just asked it.
been helpful in the chat, so that's good. But yeah, I've told Captain, who was it? But I told someone, we've had communication about the frequency of having MPD on these meetings. welcome to join the committee
Yeah.
every month to do so. I know that your schedules don't always match well with ours, which is okay. So whenever it works out, happy to have you. And it's usually the second Wednesday of every month. This month is an exception. But we have our main meeting for the ANC on the first Wednesday, and then this committee, which is more relevant, is usually on the second. So I'll let you know next month as well. And if someone's free to join,
Okay.
kind of similar thing. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
more than 5 to 10 minutes, really. This is a little bit longer than normal, but
Just,
glad to.
yeah, just send the invite and myself,
Perfect.
somebody else should be able to join.
Perfect. Well, appreciate you taking the time tonight. Hope you have a good
Yep,
evening.
no problem. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And so on our agenda, we also have some renewals of tavern licenses, similar to like the last 2 months, something like that, for this
Mhm.
committee and the overall ANC. I don't really have any comments or anything. I don't think I have no recommended action to take, but if you have anything that's come to your mind, this would be the time to.
No, I've, manifest has been, nobody has brought manifest to my attention in any way, so I assume everything's good.
Potentially the most discreet alcohol vendor in all of
Yeah,
at least
you'd never,
Oregon.
walking down the street, you'd never know.
Yeah, exactly. So unrelated, this is an institution that doesn't have a liquor license, but we can discuss this not on this call if you want as well. Some residents in 1CO3, like on Wyoming, so technically
Mhm.
residents in 1CO3 complaining about a business in 1CO1 across the street, saying that it's very
Really?
bad. I'm going to meet with them on Friday, or at least speak to them. I'll let you know how it goes, and if you want to be involved, depending on what they say. Basically,
Huh.
it's a business that they say that, according to the person I spoke to, they said that the music starts at like, I've heard it too. They play
Huh.
music pretty loudly starting at like 7:30 in the morning, and they often have sometimes loud live music until like midnight or potentially later. I don't think they
Really?
have permits for it. I forget the name of the place. It's the French themed creperie, I think.
On the corner there?
It's like a building or two in from the corner on Wyoming. But basically, there's some residents across the street that are on the
Huh.
back of their condo that have been really upset, and I think, been waiting weeks to figure out what they can do, and they think they're past a tipping point. So haven't really substantiated the claims. There's no reason to think they're making things up. But
Huh.
I haven't heard this side of the business owners as well. The person I spoke to in the residence said that in their perspective, they didn't have particularly great relations with the owner, but like I said, I think in fairness to hear their other side of things as well,
Hmm.
which I haven't done. So I'll let you know how that goes. And if you have any
Yeah, please
opportunity,
do.
I wasn't sure if you've talked to anyone at that business.
I have not. I was not aware of this. Huh.
So yeah, I was mostly unaware as well. So I'll let you know I'll send you the address of the
Yeah.
place.
Oh,
Just
please
double
do.
check. And yeah, that's it. Coin de Poet. I'm pretty sure that's the place. I'll double check my
Oh
emails,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah. On the corner there. Huh.
yeah, I think that's the one they're talking about. I'll double check. So if it's
Okay.
not much,
Interesting.
but in
Interesting.
any case,
I didn't know
like,
they had music in the morning. Huh.
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's nice, but it seems that it's gotten loud for the residents, and I've heard it before as well. So I guess we'll assess. Not a place that has a liquor license, so
Yeah.
protest something like that's not really a point of leverage. So we'll have to
Yeah.
think of other ways, but hopefully we can get everyone happy at the end of the day. That's the goal, right?
Huh.
And if not, at least half of the people happy.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
yeah, that's all I have tonight. Any
Yeah.
other items you want to bring up tonight?
Nothing, nothing, nothing for me. Thank you.
All right, well, let's wrap. Call this
Okay.
meeting adjourned. Thanks, Sean. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.